Well, happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We wanted to jump on here between the last 4 o'clock game and the 8 o'clock game Eastern time tonight here on the Miller's Edge Extra. We didn't get a chance to be on with you last night for our normal post game because it was kind of late. That game ended really late. I don't know how many of you stayed up and watched it, but it was a late one. So we figured we'd jump on here just a short time today, just kind of give you our thoughts on the game from last night as the Tide won 40-17. Easy victory over the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Now they get ready for another big showdown. Another former coach for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide as they get ready to head to Texas A&M. A&M coming off a big win on yesterday over Arkansas. So we'll set the stage a little bit as we get into the week for that game. But tonight, it's all about breaking down what happened last night. Corey Miller here in Tuscaloosa over by R&R Cigars. Our good buddies Reagan and Randy over there, and Christian's at the house in Tuscaloosa. Christian, what a good game. I almost got it right. I predicted 41-20, the final score for me. They got to 40. It was setting up kind of to that 41-20, but nonetheless, 40-17. Defense scored a touchdown. Defense was spectacular, I thought. Gave up some plays in the run game. Coach Saban saying that, they kind of prepare more for the passing game based on, we talked about this, right? Based on what they saw them do against South Carolina 2 weeks ago. They thought there would be more of a passing game. So the defense was somewhat predicated about that. And they gave up some big runs here and there. But nonetheless, overall, I think it was an excellent performance defensively. I think it was an excellent performance offensively. Based on the game plan, Milroe was very, very nice. No turnovers in the game, so that's the big plus. Couple of rushing touchdowns, no passing touchdowns, but very efficient throwing the football, moving the chain some on third down. But still, again, we'll get into this, much to be desired offensively. But a big win like that on the road, the Noahs, the Cowbells for Alabama, in my opinion, it was a great victory.
I agree. And you were close, 40-17. I think you had 40-21 or something like that. I was 34-13. 41-20, yeah. So I was 34-13. Yeah. So we were around that ballpark. And look, it started off a little rough. There were some mishaps. I mean, look, snapping's still an issue. I was kind of shaking my head, the first few minutes, but they got the job done. And you talked about Jalen Milroe. I really was impressed with how efficient he was. Again, people get caught up with, the low amount of passes that he's throwing, which I agree they need to let him throw the ball more. But when he is throwing the ball, he's so efficient, man. And each week he keeps improving. I said it on the Tide pregame show that I think he's going to continually grow each week. And I think by the end of the season, he's going to be one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, he already is with this QBR. I think he was the highest rated quarterback in the SEC. And so, look, when I watch him, he just looks more and more poised and confident each week. And I was impressed with what he did last week. He looks more confident in himself using his athleticism. I think they're finally giving him that green light, which they might have already been doing that. But now he looks a lot more comfortable taking off when that window was open, which, rightfully so. He should have been doing that. That's his skill set. That's his God-given ability. So I'm glad to see him finally using that playmaking ability with his legs, which we saw last night with that 50-something yard touchdown run. Ended up having 2 rushing touchdowns. But here's what I got out of the game, right? It's a young team that's still growing, but each week they're improving, which is a good sign. I thought the offensive line played good for the most part. Still had some, issues here and there, specifically the snaps. I can't wrap my head around why the snaps just are still an issue, going into week 5, but it is what it is. And then I really like the physicality from them, at least in the run game. Tyler Booker and Latham, those guys really stood out to me, which they've been, standing out on that offensive line, and rightfully so. Talked about Milroe progressing, looking more and more confident in his decisions, and then just looking at those throws. And I don't know whether he's just improved, because I'll be honest, we've seen him make those throws. I kept trying to tell people he can make the intermediate throws. He just has to be consistent. Or so is it him improving, or is it the O-line improving that they're actually giving him some time? Because he finally had some time to navigate the pocket and just find open receivers. I like that. He was improvising. He was getting out of the pocket and telling his receivers, move around a little bit, getting those, open windows. And he was finding his targets and picking up some nice gains. So I really liked what I saw out of him with that. But we need to continue. One guy I keep seeing make plays is Amari Niblack. We got to continue to put him in position to make plays and create those mismatches, because he's clearly a mismatch nightmare. There's no linebacker in the country that can cover him one-on-one. So I think we need to get innovative and really implement some stuff for him to take advantage, full advantage of his skill set. But I really was pleased with 0 turnovers in this game. I thought for the most part with them on the road, they were pretty poised. The reason I chose Jason McClellan to have a big game is I figured they'd probably try to hit the ground game as much as they could, and that's what they did. I really was pleased with how we were able to run the football effectively against, an aggressive front and a physical front. Probably not the best defense we'll face, but, a solid SEC defense. And then defensively, I loved how we were forcing turnovers. Braswell came up with a pick 6. You saw the young freshman Caleb Downs get a pick. Guys are really just flying around to the football. The only issue was, we just weren't very physical, and we failed to stop the run effectively at times. Really, almost consistently, we were failing to stop the run. So we got to clean that up. That's something that we'll have to improve as the season goes on. But I think one of the biggest issues is the run fits, number one, and number two, guys aren't violently shedding blocks, or they're hanging on to blocks too long, right? Once you engage that blocker, you got to physically shed them. You got to get off the blocks, and that goes for everybody from the bottom to the top. Starting with the defensive line, even the secondary guys. They've done a pretty decent job with their run support, but they could get off blocks quicker, and I think that'll help them. Plus, if they fit the run a little bit better, I think, and take better angles, that'll help as well. And then really, I thought we got after the quarterback again. We didn't have, a plethora of sacks, but we really were affecting him. He didn't look very comfortable back there before some error throws. So overall, good performance. Thought the defense, I'd give them a B+, right? They played a really good game, but there are some things that I think they really could clean up, moving forward. But again, the offense is continuing to grow, and so a lot of positives in this game. They're chopping at the bit, and that's what I think. Me and you both thought we would see from this football team, that each week they'd get better, and they're going to be one of the football teams that we see their best as the season progresses and towards the end of the year. That's why I was okay with taking, the loss to Texas, even though I don't ever want to take a loss. But if you're going to take one to a good football team early on in the season, and then learn from it and grow. And that's what we're seeing so far. These guys are learning those lessons, and they're growing. So I think they're still improving, and I think they're going to be, look, you go into Texas A&M, it's going to be another tough matchup on the road. But in my, honest opinion, you take care of business this weekend on the road against Texas A&M. You go into the next few weeks at home feeling very confident, and the West is wide open. And each week we're seeing other teams fall. Ole Miss end up beating LSU in a big shootout, right? The West is wide open, and it looks more and more clear that this Alabama football team has the ability to win the West, and really they could win the whole SEC. You keep watching Georgia. I think they're starting to slip a little bit. So the team, this Alabama team that a lot of people have been doubting the first couple of weeks, are slowly starting to look more and more promising as the year goes on.
Yeah, those are all great points. I mean, let me just start with my, the good, really good for this team. And I think the good was not turning the football over, especially on the road, not allowing your team, your adversary, if you will, get any type of momentum. And so protecting the football was awesome. No interceptions, no fumbles. They did a great job of doing that. We talked about in our pregame, you got to be able to travel with the run offense. They ran the ball very consistently. I thought they did a great job of doing that. Jace McClellan and they did a lot of good things, pounding those big offensive linemen, laying on those defensive linemen, because they were getting pressured right up the gut. I mean, those double A blitzes, those double B blitzes where those inside backers are coming with pressure, which makes it kind of hard based on what they try to do offensively, right? Because Alabama doesn't have a very detailed or wide open running game, right? Their running game is really just up the middle, get the snap and hand it off, and let Jace and those other backs try to find their little lanes. And I thought Mississippi State, they were just running right in the teeth of the defense, which I did not like. But again, the offensive line did a good job, I thought, getting some movement, pushing those guys back, and letting those big running backs just come downhill. We have to get, I think, more innovative in the run game. They tried some things. They tried the quarterback run a couple of times, because I was sitting there screaming, like, why aren't you attacking the perimeter? They bring pressure up the gut, because they know that you are inside run team. So they're going to bring run blitzes, run pressure, right? And so I thought they should have did a better job of play calling, getting them on more on the flanks, more counters. We've seen some of that, and when they did that, they had success. Right? I've been talking about this. Pull those guard and tackles. If they bring in pressure up the middle, get on the outside, attack the C gap, attack the D gap, which is the outside of the tight end right there. So they got to do more of that. More diversity. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. More diversity in their running game and have more success. But it was good. Now, I thought they did a good job overall running the football. Other good was the efficiency of Jalen Milroe. Christian talked about it. I thought he was very precise throwing the football. When he had time, he stood in the pocket. He wasn't just looking to bail quickly. Now, once or twice he might have done that. But overall, for the most part, I thought he got the snap, and when they gave him protection, he was scanning the field, and sometimes he just moved a little bit, got some room, and made some really key throws for first downs. Very nice quarterbacking. You know, but most people have been beating him up. Oh, he can't read defense. Oh, he can't scan the field. We've heard all this stuff about Jalen Milroe, but you can see the progression. You can see week in and week out. You can tell that the dude is staying and spending time in the film room. He's studying the defense. He's learning. He's growing. Again, he's still a very young quarterback, folks. He's not a seasoned veteran. He's a very young quarterback that's still learning to play the game. And the more he plays, the faster he'll process and be able to do some better things. That's what Nick Saban was saying in his press conference, and he's absolutely right. The more the guy plays, the more he's going to become comfortable, the more that he's going to be looking to do some different things. So I'm looking forward to see him grow and to be able to lead this football team. But I give him a B+, A-. I thought he played a fantastic ball game. Now, if you're looking for PlayStation football, many people are. They look at football today and they want to see, like we saw Ole Miss and LSU shootout and no defense, team just throwing bombs and, no, that's not how they're going to play. They want to control the line of scrimmage, especially on the road when you got crowd noise, you got them aggravating, nauseating cowbells. They wanted to just pound them, run the football, take the crowd out of it, and they did that for the most part and control the game. They weren't going to go there throwing the ball all over the ballpark. And now you give yourself more opportunities to have turnovers. And now that crowd really, really is going to be absolutely crazy and loud. So I understand what they were doing from a game plan situation. Christian talked about the tight ends. Nye Black is a very good, a mismatch for most people, safeties and or linebackers. I hope they do more to get him more involved, split him out some even. Again, I talk about offensive coordinators creating plays for your players, creating opportunities for your guys to get open. And Tommy Rees has to do better. And yes, I'm being hard on him, but he has to do better at play calling, in my opinion. I still think there's much to be desired there. You got players, you got dudes that can make plays, you got dudes that can win one-on-one, and I'm just looking for him to expand this playbook with Jalen Milroe. I mean, we get 40, we get 40, but the thing is that 40 could be 50, 55 if they opening up that playbook just a little bit more. But I thought overall offensively, they were really good. I like to see more of those wide receivers involved in the ball game. You got too many dudes out there that can play, that can ball out, and you got to find ways to get those dudes into the ball game. Defensively, I thought the only negative I have for the defense was the run, stopping the run at times. They were gashed. They were in the wrong gaps. You can tell they made some mistakes there. They didn't get the proper call, different things like that. They may have been expecting pass, and Mississippi State showed them something differently. Coach Saban did talk about that for a little bit, but they got to tighten that up, especially this week against Texas A&M, because they are a more pro style. They want to be physical, point of attack football team that wants to run it downhill, big linemen as well. So they got to be really good at stopping the run. I give them a negative there. I thought the pass defense was nice. The rush was good, wasn't great, but they got solid rush, scored a touchdown. That's big, always big. But I give them a B-. Special teams, good. I mean, the kicker is phenomenal. I mean, Reichert is just phenomenal. The dude is just the model of consistency. So the punting was good. So special teams been really good all year. So they got a really nice special team. So, overall, B plus, got the win. You stay undefeated in the SEC, stay undefeated in the SEC West. They control their own destiny. The only other big negative, I stay on the coordinator, and I'm going to keep harping on it until I see it with my own eyes, until I see the innovation come out of Tommy Rees. It's still too vanilla. It's still too generic. They got to do more. They got to do more with this offense. You got too many dudes. And I want to also see more of Justice Haynes. I mean, the dude is explosive. Did you see the balance? He got kind of hit low and he kept his back. I mean, this kid can ball out. So you got all these dudes, you got to use them. I mean, look what happened with Colorado. I don't know if you saw the game, Colorado and USC Southern Cal. They played that true freshman Miller. I remember that name because it's Miller. And he hadn't played. But, man, he went for $196 in that ball game, freshman. Right? He came out there, he did his thing. I think Alabama got those kind of dudes too. But you got to create ways to get them to football, to be more explosive, to have more chunk plays. And that's really what they're missing, because sometimes those chunk plays is going to open up the run game even more for you. So I'm looking forward to that, seeing if Tommy Rees will do that, or will we stay vanilla. They cannot beat Texas A&M by being vanilla. They got to utilize those guys a little bit more. But, overall, it's a great win for Alabama, a great win to stay right there where you need to be. Because Christian said it, right? I don't know where you at. But as you look at the SEC West, it's wide open. I mean, it's absolutely wide open. LSU, I was hoping they lose. And that's a good loss for Alabama, because Alabama already beat Ole Miss. So they're going to have to, in essence, have to lose twice for Ole Miss to pass them, because they got the head-to-head. They still got to play LSU. You get them at home. LSU got phenomenal offense with Jaden Daniels, no doubt about it. They got some receivers, some dudes that can go get it. They're a bunch of frisbee catching dogs at the wide receiver position. But their defense is not good. And you get them at home. I like the chances there. So here's what I'm going to say. This game right here, Christian, I am putting a big old circle against A&M. We already got the Canals. We already got the dude at SEC Network saying that A&M is the best team in the West. I mean, everybody is all about these knee-jerk reactions, right? One game, a couple weeks ago, A&M sucked. They got beat by Miami, an ACC school, blah, blah, blah. But now A&M, all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, the best team in the SEC West. That's how people are. They're just finicky. They're fragile. They're knee-jerk type people. And Alabama just continually to climb this ladder, get better every week, control what you can control, be where your feet are, right? And A&M is coming up next. And if you get this win, this to me is going to be the hardest game that they have in the SEC. If they can win this game, I think they win out. I think they went out, and we've seen Georgia struggle at Auburn, had to come from behind late. Auburn just forgot how to play defense, forgot how to cover the best player on Georgia's team. I mean, just let him run down the field wide open. But we know Alabama can beat Georgia. We know Alabama can beat anybody in this conference. So I think the good news is, Christian, if this team continues to get better, we know the weapons that they have. We know what they can do on the defensive side. They'll probably get some of the dudes back later on, like Deontay Lawson, other guys healthy. Alabama can become a dangerous team with the involvement of Jalen Milroe at that quarterback position. They could be a team that nobody wants to see down the stretch.
I agree. And I don't know if you got this. I stepped away for a second, but Adam, man, once again with the 50 bomb in the super chat. Adam, thank you so much for the support. Adam says,
I didn't see that. Well, I'm on my phone. It's so little I can't read it.
Oh, you're good. I got you right here. Adam, thank you so much again for the $50 super chat. He says, love this show. Do you think this team is as talented as the 2015, 2017, and 2020 national championship teams? And do you think there's good team chemistry internally? Also, how do I get one of those hats? Well, Adam, again, I told you I'll send you a hat, man, just saying thanks for all the support. So I saw that you followed us or favorited a tweet on Twitter, and I sent you a message. So just email me or email us at themillersedge@outlook.com. Your information, I'll send you a hat. But actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Our store is live. If you guys want to go buy a hat, head to themillersedge.com, and there's our store on the website, and you can purchase a hat there. But Adam, I'll make sure I take care of you. Just hit me up on either X or email me at themillersedge. themillersedge@outlook.com, the information, and I'll send you one. But again, thank you so much for your support. So Adam, you said, do we think this team is as talented? Well, I was on the 2015 and the 2017 teams. I'll be honest with you. I think it's similar to the 2015 team. I really do. I think personnel-wise and just this season in general, you're talking about the quarterback battle at the beginning of the year, trying to figure out, the identity of the team, a really solid defense. So this team actually reminds me a lot of the 2015 team and also the 2014 team with Blake Sims as quarterback, where we went to the first ever college football playoffs. But so yeah, I think it's close to 2015. I'll be honest, 2017 we had really some good talent on that team. But I'll be honest, 2020, I think that was one of the most talented teams Alabama has had. You talk about a plethora of receivers. Devontae Smith, Judy, Ruggs, all those guys, Waddle, they were all on that team. Mac Jones is quarterback, and then they went undefeated in the SEC. It was only SEC schedule, right? So you got to tip your hat to that team. They did some really good things. They had a lot of talent. So I think they're close to at least 15 and 17, if not as talented. But do I think they have good chemistry internally? I think so. I hear them with their little thing. They say lank. It's like let all the naysayers know. They're talking about Jalen Milroe, I think, when they say that. So I think a lot of guys are bonded together as they should be. But everything seems good to me when I'm around them. When I see them on the sidelines, they gel, they mesh. I think it's just a young team that's been developing. It's been taking time, and that's okay. That's normal. So in my opinion, yeah, I think they have good chemistry, and I think they'll continue to grow with that chemistry as the season goes on because they've already faced adversity, and adversity brings everybody together, right? So I think that Texas loss contributed to that adversity and growing, and I think they'll continue to do that. So in my opinion, yes, I think they have all the pieces. Do they have a star number one receiver? Not necessarily, but I like Burton and the improvement that he's shown. I like Bond. I like Hale that's been stepping up. I love Nye Black as a mismatch. The offensive line has struggled, but they've got dudes on the offensive line with Booker and Latham. So in my opinion, yeah, talent-wise, Adam, they've got it. They've got everything they need. It's just about coming together, and it's really on the coaches to help them out. The coaches got to put them in position to succeed. But again, I'm a defensive guy. I'm biased, but as long as you play good defense and you limit scores of opponents, man, you're always going to have a chance, right? You're going to have to put points up, especially in today's game, but you will always have a chance with really good defense, and that's what we've seen for the most part so far. And really, it's other guys stepping up. I mean, you got Kool-Aid on one side who's heralded, he's getting all the preseason love, and he should. But then you're seeing Terrion Arnold stepping up dramatically, right? Playing way above what people thought he was going to be. Just a true athlete that's really come into form now that he's more comfortable with the position. Because if I'm not mistaken, he was a safety coming out of high school. So yeah, Adam, I think they've got what it takes, man, and it really looks wide open, right? It's just a matter of can they continue to progress? Can they continue to improve? Can they not beat themselves? Can they have composure and poise when they go play on the road? Those are the things that need to be answered. And I think so far they're slowly answering those questions. And really, Adam, they just have to nut up, man. Like you just got to go out there and you got to take it, right? Like it's up for the grabs. Like it's all for the taking right now. And it's a matter of who wants it the most. And that's how I see this season playing out. Really, anybody in the SEC can really take it this year. It's a matter of who wants it the most. And I'm seeing that hunger out of these guys each week. So that's the positive. They're trending in the right direction. It's just a matter of can they continuously do it, right? That's honestly my biggest thing with this team is consistency. Can they be consistent? Because we've seen them play at that high level, but can they do it consistently? I would say this past week we saw 3.5 good quarters. We still need that full 4-quarter complete game. We're still waiting to see that. We're getting close, but we haven't quite seen that yet. And that's what we're going to need down the stretch to have that success and hopefully add them to the list of championship teams in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I think, Adam, I think I don't know where they are as comparing those other teams that you asked, but but they have the potential, no doubt, to be that. Now, here's what Corey Miller is so pumped up about. Let me tell you something right now. I don't know if they've been listening to our show or whatnot, but let me just say this. I talked about running some traps and counter trays. We've seen that last night. I talked about quarterback runs, hitting the perimeter. We did see some of that last night. But you know what I'm most excited about? I want to pause right now. And I want to say thank you to this special person named Miss Terry. Miss Terry, if Nick is telling the truth, that Miss Terry told him to hold them boys accountable, to get on them when they mess up. Thank you, Miss Terry, because we've been waiting. We've been anticipating to see Nick Saban start throwing tirades and cussing and screaming and yelling at the players. Oh, yeah, and by the way, T-Rob, get some of it. Oh, yeah, get up in the booth, in the headsets, get some of it. You know, we saw him last night. We saw the old Nick Saban. There wasn't no more just walking up and down the sidelines, pacing, right, not saying anything. He was giving them the business. And let me just tell you this. I've been looking for this for the longest time. I've been saying that just there was a disconnect somewhere because I didn't see the fire from Coach Saban. You hear me say this all the time. Players always, and I mean always, take on the personality or persona of their football coach. Whether it's your head coach, whether it's your position coach, those players are going to take on that personality. And to me, I saw that last night. I didn't see guys pouting when Terry Arnold got screamed and yelled at, and then Coach Saban later on and the game came over. You know what, to those guys, and secondary guys, and I'm sure he said, good job, right? He gave them tough love right here. He gave them the business, and then when they needed to be applauded and show them love, he gave them that too. I love that. And this Alabama team needs Nick Saban to get back to that because they are looking, especially when times are hard and things are happening, those athletes, those players, they're looking at the coach, right? How's he responding? Does it bother him that I screwed up? Does it bother him that I missed the coverage? Does it bother him that I'm in the wrong gap? Does it bother him that I just fumbled the ball? Does it bother him that I had an errant snap? And if he's like this, and it looks like he doesn't care, then they're going to take on that personality. But not last night, folks. Not last night. We saw Nick Saban come back from the coaching dead, so to speak, and bring that fire, taking off his headsets. I mean, listen, this is what is happening. There is a transformation happening. It's not a surprise because I think Coach Saban first, Miss Terry said, Coach, you need to get on these boys' tail. You need to give them the business. You need to act fiery again. Don't get too nice. Don't let this whole transfer portal and guys threaten you to leave and all of this stop you from being you. You got 7 national championships, Coach Saban, because you are you. And these players, these former players that's speaking up and speaking loud. Why? Because they still have your personality. This is what I'm saying. You, Christian, and others and guys we had on the program, they still have what Coach Saban spoken to them. It's what Dion is doing right now, doing it in a different way. But he's speaking life into these young men. That they're learning and they're implementing into their life today, right? So I love the emotion. I love the fire. And I think we got to see more. That Coach Saban is not going to go for these guys messing up. He's not going to stand for mistake after mistake after mistake. And last night when I saw that, because you heard me say, And then in the press conference, he said, well, Miss Terry said, which I don't know if I believe all of that, but it's cool. So I'm gonna give Miss Terry some flowers right now because listen, we needed your husband to come on back. I was getting concerned. I really was. I was getting concerned about Nick Saban because I didn't see the passion. It looked like he lost his fire, and I hate sometimes to hear what people like Paul Feinbaum said, but when he said so, he said something is missing. He said something is not right when he sat on the set with him the Texas week. He said something, coach is not just the same. And I had to agree with him, right? I've watched this man coach for a lot of years, been around him, talked to him, and I'm like, he's not himself. And because that's not Coach Saban. I mean, even last night, the game was already done with and over, still going on, obviously, but he was still getting in the butts of these players like he was with you at that Louisville game. I mean, game was over, but he didn't allow you to get penalties and just think it's okay. There was a teaching moment in these things, right? Because this could hurt down the road. So he's letting you know, no, you can't do this, young fella. So, Miss Terry, thank you. Coach Saban, welcome back to the sidelines because one of your greatest attributes and assets is how you hold these kids accountable. That's the standard. We talk about the players all the time. Where's the Bama standard? Well, the coaching staff didn't have the standard. Let's just be honest. The coaching staff didn't have that standard. This coaching staff didn't seem like we always keep comparing Bo Davis and all Kirby Smarts and the Chris Rumps and all these coaches, Tosh LePaul and all these coaches that have come through here had a standard. They knew the Bama standard. Well, this staff, I wasn't so sure, Christian, that they understood the standard. But if your leader, the one who created the Bama standard, is not displaying the standard, then how can we expect others to come along, so to speak, and be that standard? So I'm kind of thankful that I'm seeing Coach Saban now with the headsets, screaming and yelling. I mean, T-Rob, listen, getting in the coach, not like Trent Dilfer did. Now, that was disrespectful. I don't know if you saw what Trent Dilfer did at UAB. He was about ready to catch a right hook from that coach, I believe. But not to that point. But he was getting in T-Rob's butt, right? And I'm agreeing with Lane Kiffin. There ain't no doubt in my mind that T-Rob is calling the plays, by the way. There ain't no doubt in my mind that T-Rob is running his defense. I'm on the Lane train with that. You can't tell me nothing different. T-Rob is calling his defense. But then Tommy Reese on that wayward snap and being in the shotgun, he was going off. What? You can just tell, that guy, welcome back, Nick Saban, to the sidelines. And Christian, I'm just saying, I know I'm long-winded on this because I'm telling you, I just felt like he had lost his edge. No pun intended here, to the Miller's edge. But I felt like he had lost his edge and that fire, and I was getting concerned that he wasn't ready to. I started thinking, well, maybe he is about done. Because I know as a player, I stepped away from the game because I felt like when I lost that passion to drive to go blow people up and I had that neck injury and all, I didn't have that same passion and drive. I knew it was time to walk away. And I consider that for the same thing for a coach. If he loses that fire and that drive to win, I'm not saying that he lost that, but that fire wasn't there, it made me concerned. But I'm so thankful that we had a chance to see that last night, and I hope it will continue.
I do too, because I think that really was a large piece of why they performed the way they performed. I just feel like that edge that you talk about is what gets guys to be accountable, right? Whether it's snapping headsets and chewing guys out, or chewing coaches out. And I'm not saying you have to be like that, but you're right. That's Coach Saban. That's his identity. That's what makes him great. That's his style. And I feel like maybe he's slowly gotten away too far from that, and now he's reeling it back in. So thank you, Miss Terry, for speaking that back into him, because he always talks about, right, like no one to pat him on the butt, kick him out. Look, at this point, and I've been saying this, right? We've been trying to pat them on the butt for too long to no avail, right? So you have no
too
choice.
Nice.
Too nice. And so now we're getting back to that. And I think that's why they're playing with more of an edge because, look, what I saw from him was he's not accepting it no more. That same Coach Saban that we saw walking into halftime, or that weather delay, looking defeated, like he didn't even know what to do with himself or this team. He had enough. And so that's what I think he needed. I think he needed that. He needed that moment to say, look, I'm done with this. I'm not accepting it. I don't care if guys get upset. I don't care if I hurt their feelings. I don't care who gets in the portal. They're probably going to get in the portal at this point anyway, right? I'm going to be me. I'm going to coach the way I want to coach because that's what this team needs. And he provided that. And so as long as, again, it's all about consistency, though. I need them to be consistent. But the way they're taking shape is, I think, exactly the way they need to. I think they're finally hitting strides at the right time. I just want to go back and talk about the O-line, right? I mean, so what would you grade the O-line? Because I feel like there was, definitely some improvement. I thought they blocked a lot better in terms of, getting pushed, moving the football. We ran the ball well. I got to pull up the box score to really see the numbers. But from my eyes, it was better. It was an improvement. And then in the passing game, they weren't perfect, but Jalen Milroe definitely had a lot more time throwing the football. And then you see what happens when he has time. He's able to find open receivers and show off his ability to throw those intermediate passes. It's funny how you had all these people saying he can't make those throws, but last night he was making it look effortless, in my opinion. He was easily making those throws. So I think it started up front, and that's why one of my keys to the game was being able to handle business up front, knowing how, they like to use their front seven, knowing they like to be aggressive, they like to come after you. And so hopefully we see that going into this week, because I think the battle of the line of scrimmage in this game, not just our offensive line, but our defensive line winning the line of scrimmage against Texas A&M is going to be critical. I think it's imperative in this game. I think whoever wins the line of scrimmage in this Texas A&M ball game will win the football game. And then obviously we got to continue to protect the football.
Well, they're gonna have to be really good, because Texas defensive line, all them 5 stars they got a couple years ago, they're too deep. They're going to be maybe just as good as we've seen with Texas. I mean, they have played outstanding football. So the offensive line is going to be challenged. Once again, they got to be able to control the line of scrimmage against Texas A&M. But to answer your question, I give them a B-. I thought they were very solid. Again, I talked about it early, running the football, creating some run lanes, getting some push on the line of scrimmage. They did a really good job of pass protection. I mean, we had, 2 or 3 sacks in the first quarter, but those are on Milroe. Those sacks was on Milroe holding the ball. And that's the one thing that still you can tell he needs to grow and learn and get better and be able to process quicker and be able to know, hey, either I'm going to throw it or just take off and run. I mean, don't
or just throw it away.
Give up your, don't give up your great ass like he's on the sideline. Like, why are you taking a sack? Just throw the ball out you outside the pocket. Just throw it out of bounds. It's just that simple. So there's some things I can see in his mind that I see the immaturity that he has as a quarterback. That like seasoned quarterbacks just know that, and the ball is just out, right? They looking, they extending, they buying some time, but nothing's happening. Boom, I'm just going to get this, even if I just flick it because I'm outside the box, know the rules, just flick it so you don't get, an intentional grounding. So he is still learning and growing, and those sacks I thought were more on him, holding the football and not making a decision. He's got to be still a little bit more decisive, but that's going to come, as I said earlier, with the more he plays, the more experience, the easier those things are going to be able to process. But I give the offensive line a B-, but if that means I can get better. That means I got some room to grow. And I think this week against Texas A&M, there's a massive test on the road. 100,000 people screaming. The midnight Yale dudes doing all this, all that crazy mess they do. I mean, like Yale leaders. I mean, that passionate fan base. They want to be Alabama. The last time Alabama was there, let me remind you, they lost, right? So
to this quarterback that's playing, this backup quarterback, he was the one that beat them in 21, if I'm not mistaken.
Max Johnson, which is Brad Johnson's son. Brad Johnson played for Minnesota and for Tampa Bay in the National Football League. But this guy, was at LSU, transferred, lefty. He's not a guy that's going to beat you slinging it 50 times, but he's a smart guy. He can throw a nice ball. They got some good receivers at Texas A&M. They really got speed at the running back position. So, This is a team that probably can almost match you when it comes to talent on your roster. So, and we know that's a hard place to play anywhere you go in the SEC. It's crazy difficult. So that's why I said earlier, Christian, this is the most difficult game left on their schedule next week. And if they can find a way to win, yeah, because I think you got A&M at home. You got LSU at home. You got Tennessee at home. Yep. You got Arkansas at home. Now Kentucky is ranked, and so you got to go to Lexington. But you should be able to beat Kentucky. But to me, this game, we're going to talk about everything's going to come up this week, right? The whole Saban, Jimbo, Saban saying they're buying players. They rehash all of that crap. It's going to come up, that. But then last year even, they got a win, but it was Milroe. This is a game Milroe started. Remember, he started last year. Bryce was hurt, and we squeaked out a win. But A&M had the ball, moving the ball with a chance to win the game here in Tuscaloosa last year.
2-point conversion, right? That we stopped them on, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I was on the call in the end zone, and it was either 2-point or they were basically on the goal line or something. They had to score.
They were just moving. They got the ball close to the red zone or in the red zone. So I'm just saying this. And we know at Texas A&M, it's more than anybody, how hard that is and how loud that place is. So the 12th man is ridiculous there. But this will be some great preparation. I think this past weekend at Mississippi State kind of somewhat prepared them. Jalen got some experience being on the road. So I think you're going to see them really emphasizing trying to run the football even more. I think you're going to see a similar game plan of not saying, hey, Jalen, you got to go. If Alabama has to throw it 40 times, that means they're probably going to lose. But this is a game they should win, but it's going to be a difficult one.
Well, I'll tell you, playing at A&M, they're arguably one of the loudest stadiums in the SEC. They got LSU, Tennessee, Auburn's loud, but A&M is very loud. It is a very loud and disruptive place, so it is going to be challenging. So I agree with you. I think they are going to try to run the football, but the problem is, A&M is going to either, stack the box, or they're going to really throw all their effort, in stopping the run. So if they do challenge us to throw, I hope that we see the progression that we've seen out of, Jalen Milroe and the offensive line, right? Because if he doesn't have time to throw, then we're in trouble too. But my biggest thing is, I look at the skill guys that A&M has, and they have some weapons, man. They have some really good wide receivers. And I'll be honest, I'm confident in our secondary, but I think that is something to watch. That's kind of where we struggled against Texas, the skill guys. They were able to, take the top off our defense when they needed to and come up with explosive plays. So I'm going to be looking out for that this week. I want to go back real quick and just look at this box score as we, wrap up Mississippi State. So, again, final score 40-17. We held Will Rogers, who threw for 487 yards against South Carolina, roughly that, almost 500 yards. We held him he was 15-27 for only 107 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Time of possession was about split, 30 minutes and 10 seconds for Alabama, 29-50 for Mississippi State. So didn't necessarily control the game like we did the week prior against Ole Miss. But again, we had 357 total yards, 164 passing. Rushing, we had 193. So again, another good game on the ground. And again, that's going to be Alabama's identity. That's why I think it's critical we continue to keep establishing that line of scrimmage and getting that movement up front that we need. Because when we run the ball effectively, we all know this how it works. It opens everything else up. And I think that's why our passing game has slowly started to open up as well, because we've been establishing that run a lot better. Right. And that's, that's football 101. But that's our bread and butter, man. We got to run the football effectively to have success, especially, like you said, on the road. You and I both know when you're on the road, it's going to be hard for that offense, to get going, especially if they have to throw the football and it's loud and trying to make checks, and it can get chaotic and get hectic. So I think it's going to be crucial to win line of scrimmage and set up that run game. Adam, again, with the super chat, $10 here. He says, I'm no expert on football, but I was wondering if our defense should be doing more blitzing and trusting the secondary with man coverage. That's a great question, Adam. I'll answer real quick, and I'll let my dad piggyback off that. In my opinion, I think they've been showing more pressures and blitzes recently. I think they've been more aggressive than they've been in the past few games, at least the past couple games they have been, in my opinion. So, yes, I think they should. We need to get after the quarterback. Look, we recruit all these top guys. I mean, we got Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's arguably one of the top cornerbacks in this upcoming draft. Terrion Arnold, who's really come on. Malachi Moore, who's playing lights out right now at the safety position and the nickel cornerback position. You got Caleb Downs, a really good player, even though he's young. So yeah, man, I think we should be able to pressure more. Now you just got to know, time and place, right? There's situations where you might not necessarily want to do that. You got to have situational awareness. However, when you have great cover guys, you should. However, the flip side of that is if you can get away with only rushing 4 and having success, you'd much rather do that because then you have more guys in coverage, right? So if you think about it, what made us so good back in 15, 16, 17, our pass rush, we could rush 4 guys and consistently hit home. We were leading the country in sacks almost every year. So when you have that pass rush ability and you can hit home with only 4 guys, that means you got 7 guys that are all dropping in coverage, right? Only 5 guys are running routes. So the more guys you can have in coverage, you'd rather have that. So if you can hit home with 4 guys, great. If not, yeah, bring pressure. But you also want to mix it up, right? Whether that's simulated, which is still bringing only around 4 guys, it's just a different look. Sometimes you have tackles and ends dropping out and you're bringing corners and safeties. Or you can just bring, 5-6 man pressures and just really bring the heat. Mississippi State was doing that even on running downs. And it's a strategy to stop the run. So it just depends, Adam, kind of the game plan on what you're facing. When A&M is a very balanced team. They run the football well. They like to air it out. So I would like to get after the quarterback in this game. Plus, if you time it right and you run it right, sometimes you luck up and you run the blitz right into a run play as well and come up with a big play there. But I'll let my dad chime in on that as well.
No, I can't say too much on that. I think, we did see a little bit more blitzing than we normally see out of this defense of Alabama because I don't think they are as stout up front in the defensive alignment as they've have been in the past. And Christian talked about that. And you go back and look at the draft, those years 14 through 19, 20, Alabama loaded first-round picks. You look at the Commanders. Half their start line was Alabama. You look at guys in New York and Detroit and defensive linemen, it's everywhere that has come through here, this place called Tuscaloosa. We haven't seen that. Now, I don't want to say that they've missed on some guys because they were 2-3 deep. That's the thing. Those championship years, 4 in a row, Alabama defensive line were 2 and 3 deep. When you got defensive linemen, man, you can rotate dudes in there and you don't drop off. And the second and third team guy could be just as good as your first team guy. That's a problem for an offense. And that's why he talked about you didn't need to commit 5 or 6 to the rush because, you can get there with 4. So I don't know. I like Dallas Turner a lot. I like Braswell. I know Jim Nagy, who's over the Senior Bowl, the recruiting there was at the game, and he was talking about those guys. They're good. They got some good young players that are coming around. James Otis can cause you some problems too, but not known as a pass rush. You just want them inside interior guys to push the pocket so that speed on the outside, you can basically what I call build the fence and keep that quarterback in that fence. They just need to continue to do that. Now, I think they got some good speed at the linebacker. We saw Mississippi State blitz, double A blitzes, double B gap blitzes, doing cross bucks, things like that. With your linebackers, just mean they cross. One guy hit the B gap this side, other linebacker loop around. You can do all kinds of stunts and things like that. Not even blitzes, but run some stunts. I like to see them do a little bit more of that, to be honest with you, because that's penetration. What kills the running game? Penetration. When you get in trouble, when I like to say dancing with offensive linemen, Adam, meaning you get engaged and you're not getting off those blocks. Christian was talking about this a little earlier. I don't like that because they're going to hold you, and they're not calling holding a whole lot. So, but when guys are penetrating, getting that shoulder down, getting in that gap, making those linemen move. You heard Coach Saban talk about it. The difficulty for an offensive line is when they have to move. If Proctor can just get his hands on you, you're done. Right, but they're moving. You got guys, D linemen going all over the place. That is a nightmare for the offensive line. So I would like to see them do more stunting, even run stunts. Sometimes you run stunts or dogs, not just to sack the quarterback. You do it for the running game as well. So they're doing it more. But I came from a defense from college, at least. We were called a fire ant defense, Jolie Dunn, and we blitzed. We pressured all the time. We were taking the fight to you, right? And you had to adjust. So I came out having that aggressive mentality. I like to play football like that. I'm not a read react type of person. Read react now means I got to read. I'm gonna make my move based on what the offensive linemen are doing. No, I like predetermined movements, predetermined attacks. Let's go. Pin your ears back. I'm hitting. I'm starting in the C gap. You know where you're going. Doesn't matter what the offensive line does. So I like to see them because they got such great speed. I mean, and great athleticism. So I would like to see them more aggressive. Now that's not Coach Saban's mentality. If you watch the defense, because we've had them dudes we talked about. That's a plan. They're playing on Sunday. Yeah, they're playing on Sunday.
I was going to say it depends. So you got a point. So you're right. We're more, striking, come out our hips, right? Striking a guy and really just playing almost with the square base, but getting knocked back, jacking them up. But then you also have defenses that we call penetrating type defenses. We don't necessarily do that at Alabama. I'm not a big fan. You kind of describing that. Only reason I'm not a huge fan of that is because it teaches guys to just run upfield and get penetration. So you have more negative plays sometimes when you get that penetration, you get a tackle for loss, but it also creates different levels. And when guys are on different levels, you create seams. And running backs have a lot of running room when you do that. And so Alabama, typically, we're more, striking with our hands and hips and kind of playing our gap integrity like that. And so when you're on a blitz, it's different. When you're on a blitz pattern, that's what he's describing. You're shooting gaps and
Alabama's defense is more NFL sound type defense.
Well, it depends because when I got to the Panthers, we were a penetrating front. And I'm telling you, I would be in a 6 technique, which is head up on a tight end, and I would be playing, have a square base, and I strike hands and hips. That I'm controlling my guy, and I'm playing the C gap. I'm cross shedding in the C gap. That's how I was taught at Alabama. I had great success playing the run like that. Always play the run so much better like that. But my coaches used to harp on me getting in more of like a staggered stance as I'm coming off the ball, and they're saying run through that guy and go, play the run to the quarterback pretty much. And I hated it. And guess you know what we ranked in Carolina in 2019? We're like 31st in the NFL in rushing defense. Why do you think that was? Because everybody just penetrating, flying upfield. Everybody's on different levels, and we're creating these big gaps. So I like that Alabama's more of a traditional.
Yeah, I mean, I think
you play the run way better.
Well, I mean, again, Nick Saban, because I know this from the Belichick New York Giants days, what he teaches, which is more NFL type stuff. But the thing is, like with today's game spread out, you got movement all the time, so you see more what you're talking about, even the National Football League. But you still have to be able to have great fundamentals, right? You still have to be able to understand how to, face and hand, strike, engage, lock out, get rid of, playing, holding in your gap. And see, a lot of times too, that's not being taught when you telling guys to, okay, you playing a 6 technique on the tight end, which head up and you run a stunt in the C gap. Well, once you get in that gap, you can't not allow the tight end to wash you down, right? Because you're going to create this big void of the C gap that you can drive an 18-wheeler through. You have to understand how to pressure upfield, right? It's still like if you take that step and you feel him, you got to fight against that and get upfield. So there's so many technique and fundamental things that even in the aggressive state of playing defense, there's still a fundamental or technique thing that you got to still know how to do. It's like if you outside D gap rushing up the field, 9 technique outside of the tight end, right? You just don't want to run up the field and create gaps, right? So you feel that tackle, you get so far, you learn to turn speed into power, right? Turn power so you can push back to that quarterback, yet keeping it outside on free. So these are all technique things I'm talking about. May sound foreign to you, but I'm just saying, even if you're playing Adam and blitzing, you still have to be fundamentally sound or else you'll get gashed. So I like to be aggressive, but I also know that there's times I need to be more sound, more read and react, more, controlling my gap, not trying to do too much, doing somebody else's job, because you get that a lot. Somebody else trying to make a play that's not their play to make and all those types of things. That's why you hear Coach Saban will say so-and-so didn't do his job because he's probably over here trying to do somebody else's job. So
somebody's got a little motorcycle behind you, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he's letting us know
revving it up.
He got a Harley Davidson. But
previewing this next game, just a quick minute, right? I look at the quarterback, that we're going to face. He had 2 turnovers against Arkansas. One was a pick six. He was throwing like a bubble or like a little flare to the running back in the flat. Got picked off for a touchdown. Then the other one, it might not have been another interception. He might have fumbled the ball. I think he had a fumble. So if we can attack the football like we did this past game, I think we're going to be set up for success. So I feel good about that. But you're right. I'm circling this game. I don't know if I would say it's their toughest game. And probably, I guess, maybe. I mean, just because it's on the road. Yeah, I mean, it's arguably one of them. So
because like you look at Auburn. Auburn doesn't have.
I was about to say, I feel like Auburn's going to be a tough game. I mean, they played Georgia. I know Auburn's struggling, but hear me out though. It don't matter how bad Auburn is. Auburn is always tough to go play in the Plains. I'm telling you,
agree.
It's always a challenge. It doesn't matter what team it is. It's a tough place to play.
But my point is this year.
And you got Hugh Freeze. Listen, Hugh Freeze. I meant to say this on the show when the DC asked, were we surprised that Georgia was getting played like that against Auburn? No, because who was a coordinator at Alabama in 14 and 15 when we struggled against Ole Miss? Kirby Smart. Hugh Freeze knows Kirby's tendencies. He understands how we play defense, similar to how like Sark came in, right? Hugh Freeze is a smart guy. And so he's always going to play the Kirby Smarts and Nick Saban's tough. So I think that's going to be a tough game too. Now, when I say this one's tougher, maybe a little bit just because I think their team is a little bit better. But I think Auburn's going to be a tough road game as well. But I do feel now I've seen more and more of LSU. LSU is not going to be an easy game at all. But I think we're coming to reality with LSU. I think all the hype that everybody had preseason about LSU is slowly starting to kind of drift away. Look, I'm not saying they're a bad team. I just don't necessarily think they're what people thought, going into the season. Arkansas, it's winnable game for sure at home. And then who else?
Well, they all are winnable. I'm just saying with A&M having some good talent, and I know that's a hard place to play. They all hard. Anytime on the road to the SEC.
Any SEC game is tough.
I'm just saying right now, to me, this is the pinnacle game. This is the game that could separate them because you get that. You give A&M hadn't lost yet in the SEC. So to give A&M a loss, you have the heads up on them. You have the heads up on Ole Miss. And then you get and LSU already has lost to Ole Miss. A&M still got to play LSU. So if they win this game, all I'm saying, and I want to get too far because I want to save some of this for the Miller's Edge tomorrow and the rest of the week, because if they get this win, it sets them up beautifully. They control their own destiny, period. They control it. And no matter what the pundits are saying right now, they are in good shape. Just keep getting better. But this, to me, might be the toughest challenge because you're at home. When you're at home against LSU, Arkansas, and the rest of them except Auburn and Kentucky, I like those odds. That's all I'm saying. So it ain't going to be easy. This is going to be a year. It's going to be some. You might see a 1 or 2 loss team in Atlanta. I mean, but then it's going to come down to head-to-head. That's why I think this game is going to be huge. If it ain't going to knock them out of it. But, again, if you lose to A&M, this game, who has no losses right now, you're going to need them to lose 2 games in the SEC, right? That's all I'm saying. You already got Ole Miss. Now, if you get this, boom, and then now LSU already has lost 1, and then you play them, and they got to play, Texas A&M as well. So it's going to get really interesting. This SEC West is going to be really, really interesting. But the good news is Alabama is right there. And they could beat anybody in this league. So they just got to continue. If we continue to see them get better, which they will, I think they're going to be in good shape. That's all I got for today.
No doubt. Well, before we get out of here, and appreciate everybody in here showing your support again, if you don't mind dropping a big like and subscribe if you haven't already, it means a lot. And again, everybody keeps asking about the hats. Check out our website, themillersedge.com. Go to the store. We got those hats on there now. You can go check those out. I know everybody have been asking about those, but I want to get we'll get our players of the game, right? And then we'll grade, kind of just real quick, just offense, defense. We kind of threw it out there, but then I want everybody else to kind of comment below who your offensive player of the game was, who your defensive player of the game was, and then give us a grade for the offense, give us a grade for the defense. So I'll start real quick. I would say defensively, Caleb Downs stepped up. He led the team in tackles. He had 13. I think he got his first pick. So he's just a very impressive guy, especially being a young player, right? I love Caleb Downs. He's really coming along. So I'm going to go Caleb Downs on defense. which we said we thought a safety or a secondary guy was going to be able to get that, and that happened. So Caleb Downs, and then on offense, oh man, it's tough. I guess I'll probably just go Jalen Milroe. I like how he's progressed. He, again, I'm not so surprised with those throws that he made because I've been seeing him make these throws. I know he's capable of it. It's just a matter of giving him time and having him do it on a consistent basis. And he finally is getting more confident in using his legs and not being so. Yeah, he still can, make that decision quicker, but he's getting there. So I'm gonna go Jalen Milroe on offense. Grades, I'll say defense B or B plus. Offense, really about the same, I guess. I give offense about a B. I say both in the B range, right? I say both in the B range. So that's what I got. Caleb Downs, Jalen Milroe, then I give offense and the defense B. So want you guys to leave y'all's offensive and defensive player of the games down below and your grades for both. And then my dad, if he didn't jump out of here, I want to get his offensive and defensive player of the game.
I'm still here.
Who'd you have for the players of the game?
Offensively, I'm just returning a text real quick.
You're good.
Offensively, I'm going to go. Easy pick obviously is going to be Jalen Milroe because he had the long touchdown run, another 2 rushing touchdowns in the ball game, no turnovers. So it's obvious to me. But since we've been beating down the offensive line so much, I got to give them some love. So I'm gonna give the offensive line my MVP this week because I thought they did a really, really nice job and they seem to be getting better. Defensively, I'm gonna go different than you. I love Caleb Downs. He don't act like a freshman. Definitely doesn't play like a freshman. But I'm going to give 17 my defensive player of the game because Deontay Lawson was, that's a big loss right there. He's the quarterback of the defense, right? And how it's imperative to get calls out and get guys lined up. But 17 defense is my player of the game. I thought he was all over the field. He had some good rushes as well, sideline to sideline. And he gets my Harley Davidson room, whatever that guy's doing over there. So
defense 17 player of the game. So you're talking about Tresman Marshall. We should have pointed that out. He really stepped up, right? And he's been playing alongside Deontay Lawson. But you're right, he did step up. He had 9 total tackles, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. You're right. He was flying over the field, all over the field, and he had a great game. But who else stepped up was Jahad Campbell, who was playing in place of Deontay Lawson. He had 14 total tackles and an interception. Yeah, so he actually led the defense. So I probably could have gone with him as well. But we said it before, right? Going into the season, we knew we had great linebacker depth, and now we're getting to see that on display. And we said even in the pregame show, these guys are going to losing Deontay Lawson is tough. That's a big loss. But I was fully confident these guys stepping up, and that's exactly what they did, especially on the road, right? So really good stuff from the defense. And again, Brad.
And I give both of them a grade of a B minus on both sides of the ball.
That's fair.
Special teams got an A plus. Special teams got an A plus.
Well, there you have it, folks. This was the Miller's Edge post-game show that was delayed because it was a little late last night, so we did it today. Just recapping and putting a bow on the Mississippi State victory. Alabama again winning 40-17 on the road in their first SEC road game. So we wanted just to, kind of put a bow on it, talk about it, wrap it up. Now we're on to next week. We're on to A&M. What my dad calls is the game that's circled, right? The biggest one either yet or of the season. So we'll see. We'll definitely be breaking that down. Remember, we'll be here live on Thursday for the Miller's Edge Extra, previewing that game. We're offering a lot more detail on that game. We'll go watch some tape and study this opponent, break them down for you. And then again, you can always listen to us Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9 FM if you're around Tuscaloosa, or go to the website, tide100.9.com, or download the app, or go to our website, themillersedge.com, where you can click the link to listen live and also check out the hats that are now linked on our store. Again, thank you so much for all the support, just being in here. If you don't mind, drop a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Big thanks to Adam, always showing love. Again, Adam, reach out to me so I can get your contact info and send you your hat. Email me, email me, themillersedge@outlook.com, or go to the website, www.themillersedge.com, and you can reach out there. Send me your info, and I'll get that hat to you for sure. But again, thank y'all so much for just joining and hanging out with us.
I got 2 more things.
Go ahead.
I got 2 quick, just 10 seconds. One, the real MVP is Miss Terry. you are the most valuable player this week because what you got Coach Saban to do. Thank you. We're going to send you a hat, a shirt, whatever you need, Miss Terry. We got you. Not that you
That's
need
right.
anything, but we got you. And then also, this I got to go because I would never buy a ticket. I would never go to a concert by anyone named Taylor Swift. But I get to see her watching the Chiefs play the Jets. So that's what I'm getting ready to do right now, to see Taylor Swift crumbling.
She did take over the whole game. She probably will again this week. So it is what it is.
Well, it's sickening to me that with sports shows, and we all talking about not stupid, Lord forgive me, but Taylor Swift, an NFL game. Everybody, Taylor Swift. I mean, get a life, people. I mean, get a freaking life. Come on.
What's wrong with T Swift, man? Why are you hating? No, what was crazy was that they said she made Travis Kelce. I'm like, this is a two-time or however many time
Miss Mahomes and Taylor Swift. I'm done with it. Y'all,
hey man, it is what it is. What? What did you say?
Next Thursday.
Oh, okay. This Thursday, yeah. We'll see you guys Thursday on the Miller's Edge Extra again. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank y'all so much. It's been fun. We'll see you guys soon.